Let's take a look here. The 1.4 sheet, everybody with me? Calculators it ready? Guess what? On sale. You have something on sale, it's usually given as a percent, stuff like this off, right? So we need to review percents. Remember, percents are out of 100? I'll do one with you to remind you, it's always the same math. Out of 100, out of 100. So, here's what we're going to do. We'll do the first one. What's the phrase that pays on this one? If you have anything set up as a proportion, how do you solve it with just a calculator and just knowing one thing? Cross, multiply, then divide by the loaner. When we say cross multiply, we're talking about the two diagonals. Cross multiply, then divide by the 100. I'm going to write it out even though you enter it directly on your calculator. X equals 20 times the 420. That's the cross multiply. Dividing by the loaner. The 100 is across from the X. It's kind of a loaner all by itself. Then, when you do that, you get an answer of, and somebody will tell me. 84. Awesome. Thank you so much. 84 is 20% of, in other words, 420. If that was a word problem. I'm going to leave these two to do later on. I know you can do these, because that's the one skill you must have for this course. By the way, there are other ways of figuring this out. Hello, Justine. But we're sticking to one method so that it always looks the same when you get a problem. As much as possible, we'll stick to this cross multiply, this proportion, fraction method, okay? Calculate each of the following. This is more of the same. I'm going to do C, though, in this case. But you see, 85%, that means 85 out of 100. And then you'd say X out of 399. 75 out of 100 equals X out of 123.25. Look at this, though. Sometimes, you ever hear people in sports say, oh, we're giving her 110%? Well, sometimes you can have 110% with pricing and stuff like this, and it makes sense, especially with markups from the previous section, like where a guy buys t-shirts for $10, he marks it up 150%. That means he'd be charging $15 extra onto that and add $25 t-shirts you get out of it. Let's do C, though. I'll do it in this case. So this 110% means 110. It's still out of 100, though. It's an improper fraction, and that's all right. Of 35.99. Well, that's the X out of 35.99. I want to do this one because often with percents and stuff, you usually get a smaller number. Well, in this case, when you cross multiply and divide by the loaner, you're going to get 39.59. Now, I did that one quickly for you, just because of time constraints right here. I want to point out something, though. If you have money problems, dollar sign, as soon as you see that, use 2 decimal places. Use proper rounding, too. Okay? It's 2 decimal places. Don't go further, ever, but always include them, even if it's 0.00 sometimes. Right? $35 on them. That one I can get away with no decimal places, but don't ever put 35.6 or something like that. You need the cents, both decimal places. Now, yippers? Okay. Here's what we want. And then I got a big old donut problem for you. Princess Auto is advertising a 1-ton, 3-pulley, easy pull chain hoist for $79.99. If you're an employee there, they give you a 20% off the list price discount through employee purchase plan. Determine the price of this hoist, but include GST and PST. So the tax, I'll just put this as an aside here. Tax is in Saskatchewan 10% when you put GST and PST together. We'll need that later. But first, we want the discount. There's two ways of doing discounts. And there's one way that's kind of better. Because he's an employee. If you have a 20% discount, think of it this way. I'll just wait for a second. If the item was $100 and you had a 20% discount on it, how much would the item be? How much off would it be? $20 off. So what would the price of the item be? $80, right? If you had a $100 item, that's easy. Now this is a $79.99 item, but if you have a 20% discount, does it make sense you're going to pay 80% of the price? Because you can skip some math if you do this. 20% discount, that means, that means you pay 80%. If you can figure it out, if they're not asking for how much was discounted exactly, you could jump straight to the price and say, discount 20%, he pays 80%. So let's figure that out. 80 out of 100. Now that's where that came from, right? If you get 20% taken off, you pay 80% of the price. And that's going to equal, we'll figure out the price, 80% the price of $79.99. Now with that, get a calculator. $79.99 times 80 divided by the 100. I'll wait for a second here. See what we get as the discounted price. And someone's going to tell me. You got an answer, don't you? Solve it. You know how to solve it, right? You do have an answer. Okay, 63.99. Good. You cut off that decimal or the 2 afterwards. Great. 63.99. Stop there because this is cents. Right? You can't go quite. Could go, but it's best to give a price to 2 spots. 2 decimal places. Okay. Now, you've got to figure out what the tax is on that. But first of all, this is the pre-tax price. Pre-tax price. Now, what's the tax here? Well, the tax we wrote up here is 10% of whatever the pre-tax price is. So 10 out of 100 equals X out of, we'll use our pre-tax price from before, 63.99. That's a cross multiply divide by the loaner as well. We try to use that as much as possible so it always looks familiar. Kyle, you have it done, don't you? Tell me what it is, the tax. The tax. Ah. What's that? 3.7? What did you say? Yeah, the tax here, this green equation. Yeah. You did 5% tax there. I want 10. You got it, don't you? Yeah, and we're talking dollars. What happens to the 3.9? We bumped up to 40 cents, yeah. $6.40 when you properly round it up. $6.40 is the tax. That means the price, the employee price, the guy, how much he pays? Equal to pre-tax price, $63.99 plus tax, $6.40. And I'll add it up, $70.39. That's what he's going to pay for that item. $70.39 is what the price is. The total price is. Yep, I hear you, Janelle, just a second. Yippers, sorry. I'm not sure off the top of my head. You probably do, and it isn't in there? Chapter 6 review? Okay, just a second. I gotta just finish this off here. Okay, $70.39 is the total price. Now, I've got a real doozy on here. On the next page. I know it took Isaiah a couple of shots at that day-old bread and stuff like that, right? I'm going to flip the page and get you started on that. It's going to be a son of a bee. Banana, bread, and muffins are at this bakery. I'm going to only do one of them. And then you guys do the other two, though. Tyra, if you were going to go and have a treat, what would you have out of the three? Banana, bread, or muffins? Which one do you like better? Take a pick. Banana, bread, or muffins, if you could choose one. What would you do? Banana, I said? Sorry, donuts. Banana bread, I'm thinking in my head. Donuts. Or muffins, or bread. What's that? I'm going to go with muffins then. If you don't know what you want to eat. I'll do the muffins. Let's read this though. Theodore's Bakery in Martinsville. It says fresh baked bread, $1.99 a loaf. If it's not sold that day, it's sold as day old for 25% off. Fresh donuts, 6 for $4.99. At the end of the day, they're discounted 50%. And the fresh baked muffins, 6 for $5.10, they're discounted 49%. Now, there's A, B, C. You got to do in part A, the price, the discounted price for each, bread, donut, and muffin. B, then what are you going to pay for 6 fresh, 2 dozen fresh donuts, and 1 dozen fresh muffins. Sorry, I didn't finish there. 6 loaves of fresh bread. No tax on the food. And if they're out of fresh baked goods, what do you pay for the day-old? Different amounts there. I'm going to do A, B, C, but only for the muffins. You guys will do it then for the bread and the donuts, okay? So there's similar problems. So A. So I'm going to put it here. Muffins. I'll do that first. And then you guys could probably work in columns and do your bread, you know, right there, and your donuts over there. that. Those will dissolve in a minute. So A, the discounted price for bread, donuts, and muffins. So A, the discount price. For the day old. Now, does it make sense, using our little trick from the previous question, talking about muffins, fresh, they're 6 for $5.10, but they're discounted 51%. If the discount is 51%, what's the amount you pay as a percent? It's the opposite. You subtract from 100, right? 49. That literally means if the cost was $1, you'd be paying 49 cents, right? Although the penny's been outlawed, right? Anyway, so you pay, we're going to use this, 49%. Likewise with the other one. If something's discounted 50%, you'd pay 50% as well. That one's easy. And the bread that's 25% off, you're going to pay 75%. But that's for you to figure out later. The muffins, though. The discounted price will be, it's 49%, so 49 out of 100 equals X out of, what was the price again? $5.10 for 6 muffins. And when you do that, you cross multiply, you divide by the loaner, see what you get. And I'll wait for a second and hear what you get. Do that. I want to buy these muffins fast. I'm starved. Kyle, you got a number, don't you? Let's roll. Yeah, you didn't. You're doing it now. Yes. $2.50. So the discounted price, I'll write this down. $2.50 for, and that's for, isn't it 6? 6 old muffins. Use some words so you know which one this is, right? So that's the discount price. You would then do, when you're on your own, like I said, you'll do the same thing for bread and donuts. That's why I'm leaving space there, so you organize it kind of like that and leave the other 2 columns. The B problem. What would you pay for 6 loaves of fresh bread, 2 dozen fresh donuts, 1 dozen fresh muffins? No sales tax. Be very careful when you do the others. 6 loaves of bread, 2 dozen donuts. We're doing 1 dozen fresh muffins. They're different amounts for each one, so make sure you have the right amount. Part B. These ones are fresh. That's important too. It's a different price. It's full price. Fresh for, what did we want for muffins? 1 dozen fresh muffins. I'm going to put down the actual number, 12 muffins is what we're wondering about. I got to go look up the original price again. It was $5.10 for 6, right? Muffins. So I'm going to set up my proportion like that. $5.10 for 6. I'm going to use M, F for muffins. Equal to, I want more than that though, I want 12 muffins. So I'm going to put X dollars out of 12 muffins. And the reason why I'm using the MF on the bottom here and here is so that I know they match up. Muffins are on the bottom on the left, they're on the bottom on the right. The price will be on the top if you solve that. And that's again, cross multiply, divide by the loaner, and you've got a price for a dozen muffins, 12 muffins. You can probably do this one in your head, but I want you to see the method on paper so that you can do tougher ones that you can't do in your head. So this should be $10.20. $10.20, 12 fresh muffins. Then the last problem, I'm going to wait for a second. Then we'll go through the last problem in a second. Okay, the last problem is they're out of fresh. So how much will you pay for a dozen discounted muffins? Same kind of setup, isn't it? 12 old, I'm going to say, muffins. I need a little height there because that's hard for me to write that low. Okay, 12 old muffins. Well, we know that it's $2.50 for 6 old muffins, and we've got that from part A, $2.50. Okay, so I'm going to set that up. That old information. I'll use the same color so you know where it came from. $2.50 for 6 muffins when you're talking old muffins. We want to find out how much for 12 old muffins. Once again, you could probably do this one in your head, but I want the method so that when you get tougher problems, you know how to set up ratios, proportions. This is a proportion, fraction system. So this will turn out to be $5. $5. If you don't want to put the 00, that's fine because it's $5 even. But $5 for 12 old muffins. Put that down there. I'm going to stop the recording and I'll get back to this screen in a second here.